Hi guys, it's Gracie here, and in this video I want to show you 5 things that you need to know if you are considering selling your property to a real estate investor. Now, most sellers will make their decision to sell based solely on the purchase price, which is perfectly understandable because we all want to get the highest price that we can. But sometimes the highest price is not always the best offer, because if your transaction never makes it to closing, then the highest price really isn't going to matter. Now, just to give you an example, one of the scenarios that we see happening time and time again is that a seller will receive multiple mailers and postcards to their house from investors who are looking to purchase their property. And the seller thinks to themselves, yeah, this sounds like a really good idea. I won't have to make repairs to the property. I won't have to pay commission to a real estate agent or have all these strangers coming through my house. So they make the decision to call 2 or 3 of these investors up, and they end up signing an agreement with the investor who offers them the highest price without much regard to all of the other terms of the contract. Now, the problem with that, and what we see happen a lot, is that the highest price is often coming from the newer investors in the industry who really don't have a feel for the market value yet. And many times they don't even have the funds to be able to close the transaction. And that's because their intention and what they're being taught in many of these weekend seminar courses is to either partner up with a seasoned investor or to flip that contract out for a profit. But sadly, what can end up happening is, and we see too many times, is that they will end up stringing a seller along for several months, and then the transaction never makes it to closing. So in this video, I want to show you the 5 things that you need to know so that not only are you choosing the best offer, but to make sure that your transaction actually gets to closing. Okay, so the first thing that you want to look out for is the deposit amount. What kind of deposit is the investor willing to put down for the property? Now, most sellers don't understand the real importance of the deposit. The deposit is the amount that an investor is willing to lose if they don't honor their part of the bargain. Now, you want to make sure that the investor has some skin in the game so that they can't just walk away from the transaction at any time with no repercussions. Now, a good rule of thumb for a deposit is anywhere from about 1% of the purchase price, or at minimum $500. So if you're receiving an offer from an investor where they're only putting down a $1 deposit or a $10 deposit, then you may want to reconsider this offer, because it's a pretty clear sign that they're either not serious about the offer or they're not confident with their offer. Okay, so the next thing that you want to look out for is the inspection period. Now, the inspection period, if there is one, because not all contracts will have an inspection period, but on average, if there's an inspection period, it will range anywhere from 5 to 15 days max. Now remember, the shorter the inspection period, the stronger the contract. So if you're getting an offer from an investor where the inspection period is exceeding 15 days, then it's a pretty clear sign that they are either an inexperienced investor or they are trying to tie up the property longer than necessary. Okay, and the next thing you want to look out for is, are you dealing with out-of-state investors? Now, the issue with out-of-state investors is that obviously, since they're not from the area, they're not going to be as familiar with the market value of your property as most local investors. And one of the scenarios we see happen a lot is that an out-of-state investor will make an offer to a seller without ever having seen the property. And then once they get into the area and are able to do their inspection, they realize that they can no longer honor the terms of the original agreement, and they try to renegotiate. Now, if you have a certain deadline that you need to sell that property by, this could put a lot of undue pressure on you to accept a lower price. And the other issue with out-of-state investors is, obviously, since they're not from the area, probably about 90% of them end up reselling that property back to a local investor who's actually going to do the renovation and the work. So you could probably do a lot better price-wise to just cut out the middleman and deal directly with your local investor. Okay, and the next thing that you want to look out for is the closing date. So you want to make sure that you are working with an investor who indicates that he can close within a 30-day timeline or less. It typically takes anywhere from 5 to 7 business days to get your title work back and all your closing documents back from the title company. So a serious investor can usually close within a 2-week period. But I would say its standard is probably closer to 30 days, just for the fact that it allows the seller some time to transition out of the property. It also allows time to clear up any title issues if there are any. But if you are dealing with an investor who is pressuring you into a longer than 30-day close, then that should be sending up some red flags that A, they either are inexperienced, or B, they are trying to tie the property up longer than necessary. Now, of course, if you need additional time for closing and you need to push that closing to 60 days, then that is definitely your prerogative, but you just want to make sure that it's not the other way around. Okay guys, and last but not least is closing costs. So you want to make sure you know who is picking up the tab for the closing costs. Now, typically in most parts of Florida, the seller is responsible for closing costs such as your title insurance, your title searches, transfer tax. But presumably, if you are selling your property to an investor at a discount, then you should expect the investor to pick up the tab for the closing costs. Now, all of the serious investors that I know are all paying the seller's closing costs. And you gotta remember that the seller's closing costs can run you a few $1,000s, and they can really impact your bottom line and also help you decide whether you are actually getting the best offer or not. So guys, that was it. Those were the 5 things that you should look out for. Please let me know if you like this video. Hopefully it helped you to become a more informed seller. If it did, please leave me a comment and let me know. Or better yet, give me a call here at BG Home Solutions and let us know if we can help you to purchase your property fast and hassle-free. Thanks guys, thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye-bye.